folks, welcome back to another AFC Wimbledon episode of me, Dr. Benji FM. If you're enjoying the series still, do drop a like on it. Let's aim for 500, let's be modest, and see if you can hit it. Again, if you're enjoying the series, drop it, why not? Okay then, since we last met, Scunthorpe it was 4-1, it was a battering, and I wasn't sure when the next time we would meet would be, although I predicted it would probably be towards the back end of the season, and Bradford City then is the team we're going to play today on our final league game, and it's a pleasure to tell you folks that while sitting in 17th position with one game to go, we are safe. It never really looked in doubt that we would be safe towards the end, hence I haven't brought you more games towards the back end of the season. It looked pretty conclusive, and you can see that on Joe Pigott, 18 goals this season. His goals have certainly kept us up. Our goal difference is the highest but worst, if that makes sense. We're the highest worst goal difference from some of the sides below us as well. I mean, that could apply to any side who would. I mean, to be fair, 27 goals for Blackpool, they're the highest worst of the relegation teams. It means nothing for us. I'm trying to give myself some credit. But no, 52 points from 45 games. We could extend that to 55 today, and hopefully maybe leapfrog one team or two. You never know. But Bradford, this is going to be an interesting game. They're in 19th position. They're safe as well. So no one's really got anything to play for in the bottom half of the table. The top of the table, on the other hand, is still quite exciting. The playoffs are yet to be decided. So I guess we'll sort of tune in sort of behind the scenes and see what's happening over there, as well as focusing on ourselves today then. And today's really going to be a game, or we can look at players that have been here for the whole season and whether they're going to keep their places in the squad this year. That's going to be the big question mark. We've got a few players that aren't really available for today's game. Gribben's got a bit of an injury. Deji might need to be rested as well, so you may well rotate things around as we look at that. But it's interesting to look at team-wise, average rating-wise. We've got that one player, Anthony Hartigan, on that 7.00. He's clinging onto it. He's going to have to play today. Although, do we risk him? Do we risk that 7.00 rating? That's the big question. It's who's played all this season, who can stay, who's part of our plans moving forward. We can't completely revolutionise the entire squad. We haven't got the budgets to do that. Financially, we're in, I don't want to call it a black hole, but it's not a good hole that we're in right now. 863,000 is the debt that we currently hold. So it's going to be interesting to see. So far this month, it's the 4th of May. £72 has been made. So I don't know where that's from, but we'll take it. The expenditure this month, already 10,000. You can see why we've lost money this season. It's going to be interesting to see what happens come the end of the year. Our sponsorships do not tally up to enough money for us to be okay with this. So if we have to sell some players, that's going to be interesting as well. The likes of probably, if you look at the players that we could probably sell, Joe Pigott is probably one of those players that teams might come in for. I might think, yes, we'll go for him. It's a similar story as well with, where am I looking here? Mitch Pinnock, who obviously was signed by FC Wimbledon at the start of this season. He's had a pretty good season by all accounts. Teams might look at him and think, actually, if we need someone on the left-hand side, he might be their guy. So things to think about moving forward. Let's get to the team though and see who we're going to play against. Bradford. A lot of people in the comment section saying sign a striker. I couldn't agree more. Team-wise today then, I think there's some obvious inclusions here. Alfie Egan's a player that I think next season we'll see a lot more of. 21 years of age. I've not seen a huge amount of him this season in the first team, but I'm going to play him in an unfamiliar role. So give him a free role, essentially, behind Pigott, who's going to continue up top for us today. And I mentioned Deji's probably needs to rest. I mean, this final game of the season, I'm going to play him anyway. Why not? We may as well. Wagstaff's going to come onto the bench for Amiobi, who's unavailable for this one. And team-wise, I think fitness-wise, we're okay with this. Am I okay with this? I'm okay with this. Let's get into it. Kings back in goal then. Watson and Voto, Deji, Purington, Trotter, Hartigan, Bartram on the left-hand side, Jervis, Egan and Pigott. The reason Bartram's on that side is that Pinnock got a bit of an injury. He's still out and he will miss the last game of the season, as will a few other players as well. Cisse on the bench, maybe, viewers? Oh, go on then. We'll see that he makes the road to the bench. Will we see him at some point? A few people asking why the font is like this. For some, not all the font. People are going, oh, why is your font changed? Only bits of the font have changed, which is annoying. I used another skin, just trying out different skins, and it's just kept this font just on certain things on player profiles. Great, innit? I mean, I don't know. I could probably completely delete them and it will stop this from happening, but that's why, for those that are confused, average ratings have the same issue, as have, like, the age of play. It's baffling. Okay then, Bradford City, traditionally quite a big team. When I was growing up in my younger years, Bradford were a Premier League side. I think people remember there was a goal that Paul Scholes scored once, volley from the edge of the box. Beckham put a corner in, sort of in the late 90s, and Paul Scholes volleyed it on the full. Into the back of the net. Valley Parade, I think it was then. Is it still Valley Parade? I don't. Do you know? I don't. I'll be honest with you. It's my Bradford knowledge. Although I've discussed the Bradford knowledge there with you, and you were clearly impressed. But are we still at Valley Parade? I don't know if we are or not. I don't think we are. If we are now, Bradford fans, you know this at this point, and I'm just bumbling along. I'm going to check facilities. They play. Well, it's called Non-Commercial Stadium - Valley Parade. So I'm going to take that. Points on the board. So in my mind, Bradford are a relatively cleared. Relatively big club, because I remember them as a Premier League side that have gone all the way down through the divisions. I'm just old, viewers, in comparative to probably most of the people watching the video. Doyle, chance for them. It's well defended, actually. I quite like their kit. It's sort of like a browny maroon colour, isn't it? I guess you go with brown, with like the orange over the top of it, a black outline. I'm getting way too excited about it. Anyway, as they come forward, I should be less excited about what they're actually doing to me here, as they are keeping possession very neatly indeed. Aside that, I say, below us in the division, as Scannell's got a chance, Sean Scannell, previously, I'm going to guess... where should we go? I think Crystal Palace at one point, potentially. I mean, let's see. This is like, again, I'm basically doing quizzes at this point. Crystal Palace, points on the board. Thank you very much. People go, Ben, what do you know about the lower leagues? Everyone loads about the lower leagues. Brendan Galloway there, playing at the back. Everton. See, I'm impressing myself. Are there any weird things that you always associate with, like, sort of when you first watched football? Like Bradford City are one of the things that I sort of associate with my early years of watching football. It's strange. That's been a very underwhelming first half, viewers. These players are playing to keep their contracts or get moves, so I'm expecting a little more. Calmly say, I'm going to say you've been unlucky so far. We'll try and fix that. You weren't that bad. Oh, now they're confused. When they go from switched off to confused, that's the worst. There must be a way to resurrect that. I don't know what it is. Like Ravanelli taking his shirt off. That was one for me. Don't know what else comes to mind. The Di Canio like the sort of the bicycle scissor kick thing. That was good as well. It wasn't a bicycle kick, it was more of a scissor kick. Whatever it was wonderful. You know, there's things back then. Torre Andre Flo playing for Chelsea. Just stuff that I remember from my younger years. And I'll be honest with you, I'm reminiscing far too much as Bradford have taken the lead. Well, if we could bring Paul Scholes on, we've got a chance here. Put a phone into the old Salford lot. You know, I've got connections. Just, can we get Paul Scholes just on loan for the second half? You know, Beckham's a director now. Can we have him as well, please? Cheers. They've scored. It's Scannell. He's, it's this one now. I mean, we'll go more positive. We'll look to try and play on the front foot. Last game of the season, no one's playing well. Watson's having a bit of a shocker. Up front, Dibro Cisse, 15 minutes. What could possibly go wrong? Thomas Sawyers is going to come on as well. I'm actually going to bring Wordsworth on for Egan, who's had a pretty underwhelming game in a position that he's not familiar with. If anything, viewers, it's my fault. All right, then, as we go into this future season, I think I'm going to do an episode where we talk about sort of mid-transfer window. I guess we'll see how the transfer window is going, but I suspect we might see, I don't know how much turnaround we'll see. I want to progress the saver. I want to progress the team, so they're going to have to improve. This has been one of the most underwhelming episodes, or sort of end-of-season episodes you've ever seen in your entire lives, viewers, as it's Bradford 1, AFC Wimbledon 0. And we end the season in quite poor form. Let's take a look at that and see what's what. I'm going to say unlucky, boys, it wasn't to be. That was a much better team talk, and they seem motivated for that, which is useless, really, because we've got a whole summer break now. They're going to go into the holiday thinking, yeah, I'm motivated to play football. Useless. Oxford, wow, again, another retro side of yesteryear, along with Barnsley as well. Actually, I think they were in the Premier League at one point as well. Actually, no, I don't think it was Oxford. I think it was Oldham. Apologies. It's an easy mistake to make. And the playoffs will consist of Pompey, Walsall, Peterborough, and Southend. The big shocks to me in this league season, then, Sunderland in 13th. Blimey, they might financially, they could be in all sorts of bother now as well. Like their wage bill compared to how I'd love to see what their current balance is. That's mad. Sides have gone down. Blackpool have found themselves relegated. A few other sides there that we might be able to pinch players from. If you're knowledgeable on any of those players, comment section, get involved. Let me know where I should be looking. Perhaps Feeney's got a couple there. Niall Ennis as well, who I've accidentally clicked on. But this guy here, Liam Feeney, he's not amazing. Not bad for a right-sided player though, but a bit older than what we're potentially looking at. Right, normally I end episodes here, but actually I'm going to continue forwards to see what's what. We're going to see what we get in terms of like end of season awards. Record low points total for AFC Wimbledon. Well, that's harsh, I think, isn't it? I mean, I'm setting new standards, viewers, which I guess on one side is a positive. Right, now I want to see what happens. I want to see what the chairman says. We've already got our contracts, of course, for next season, so we're locked in for another season. It's whether we can try and make the best of that. We didn't get the greatest youth intake either, so... But next year, one way or another, I want to go for a bit of a promotion push. Whether that means change of system, it'll largely, of course, it'll depend on the players that we do bring in and if we can upgrade. I think that the number one thing should be, though, is don't make your squad weaker. And sometimes I risk doing that quite often. That's something I'm going to try and be really careful with. I suspect we're going to rely on the free transfer market as well, which might end up being really difficult, might be really tough, and it might enable me also, though, to make a couple of gamble signings, as in go for players that you wouldn't normally expect Wimbledon to be able to sign, but we have to sort of push the boat out in a potential to get to the Championship. Because once we get into the Championship, all bets are off. All of a sudden, we are motoring towards that Premier League in my mind. So, once we can get there, I feel like I'm smart enough in the transfer windows that I can manoeuvre my way up to the Premier League on a bit of a budget. As I was hoping for some news items, viewers. We're getting nothing. Start watching Sky News. It's pathetic. I can only apologise for the quality of what the game was. I feel like we've had a good comment. We've chatted though, which I think's nice. Again, these videos aren't going to be quite as frequent. If you're watching in the future, they're very frequent. There's a whole playlist. But if you're watching in real time, they aren't going to be as frequent as they normally are. Again, I might make a video on this. I'm unsure whether to make a video on this, so maybe I should just sort of talk about it in this sort of video. The mental, I guess I'm going to now while we wait for this. The mental side of YouTube is playing with me a little bit. I've done this for a few years now, and I say a few years, 4 years, like non-stop. I was thinking last year I probably had 2 breaks of a week, and that was kind of it. And it's not like YouTube, as people might go, oh yeah, poor you, having to make videos every day, but it's the mental side of having to think about it 24 hours a day, and keep up with people on Twitter and involve myself in the community that I've built and I love very much, and I dearly, like, that's my favourite part of it, is talking to people that I know are enjoying the videos, knowing I'm making like X amount of people really happy by making videos and they're enjoying them and they're getting something from them, whether that be comfort from having a tough time at school or work or college or whatever, then that's great. And when it's sort of, the pressure of that builds up quite a lot. So when you feel like you're, like, I got to a point where I felt like I was entertaining X amount of people every day, and that was great. And when it dropped off a little bit, it didn't kill my motivation. It was just one of those things that, like, okay, I've got to work harder. And as I thought that, starting like a new series, I lost everything on my computer. So my motivation just went boom down to the floor, and yeah, that was really tough. So again, I'm sorry if you feel like I've been a little bit lax, and it's certainly not what you expect. And if you've been watching me for 4 years, 2 years, 3 years even, you know that my daily, weekly uploads have been a very, very consistent thing. As I realise all of our players are leaving on loan, which is going to be, yeah, lots to think about there. Jake Jervis, we'll see what we can do with some of these players. But no, that was a real challenge for me to overcome, and I'm still not really there yet. So I figure if I bring myself back into this slowly and build up and start again almost, then I can do that. But I feel pretty lost at the moment, and my mental side of it is just like, I feel like I've not switched off for 4 years, and I need to switch off for a little bit just so I can remember how to enjoy this properly again. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And again, if you leave comments and discuss that with me, by all means, and I can respond to them, or get in the Discord, or tweet me, or email me if you want as well, .benjfm@gmail.com, for anyone that wants to leave any thoughts. I try to get back to every email. I've had quite a few recently, so if you have emailed and I've not replied, I'm really sorry. It's just been hard. I said it when I lost all my stuff as well. Like, I'm not looking for loads of sympathy. I just feel like you deserve to know why this is happening, and it's no one's fault, really. Like, I love doing this. I worked as hard enough to make it my job, which is really hard. I think in terms of strictly Football Manager content, I'm the only person who does this full time in terms of strictly Football Manager. I know there's there's Kev and Loki that I think do similar things, but also include other games, or Kev obviously vlogs as well. So it's just, yeah, at some point, Football Manager isn't everything I want to do and be. Like, and I've got to try and realise that it can still be a massive part of my life, but I need to find the breaks and the gaps. I'm glad I didn't make a full video about this, because it would have been waffle, but I'm glad we've shared a little bit of this towards the end, as I thought there would be more news on like signing of the season and things. All I've really found out is that players are leaving on loan. So what I think we're going to do is wrap this up instead. Again, thank you for your support. It does mean a lot. I know I'm not sometimes the easiest person to follow, but I appreciate everyone that does, and we'll leave this there then. If you did enjoy this today, do drop a like on it, as the stuff all... Oh, for God's sake, I knew this would happen. Okay, well... Pause a minute there. We'll do a goodbye in just a second. Callum Goodwin, 38%, got fans player of the season. I'll do everything I can to get him back, but I don't think our quality of player is high enough for Manchester United to allow that. We'll look for someone similar, though, I think. And there will be players out there who will be able to get on loan, who are similar to Callum Goodwin in what they offer in an attacking midfield sense. Squad dynamics are looking pretty good. Season review. Lost in the FA Cup. Okay, let's not talk about that. Carabao Cup second round, not ideal. 19th in League One. The objective was to stay in the league, and I feel like we've done that, so that's good for us, I think. I think that now would be a good time to let the players know what the plans for next season are. Yes, of course. I don't want to say avoid relegation. I want to say mid-table. We'll see what they say. Too ambitious. Okay, right. Well, I've been a bit too ambitious there. Everyone's now happy with me. We will make mistakes, I guess. Not a great end to the season, viewers. Feel the little bits and pieces here. Summary-wise, they're satisfied with my management. That's not great. Luton chasing a deal for Pigott. I wonder if Luton... where did Luton finish the season? 8th in League One. So yeah, they're going to really push for the playoffs next year, you would suspect. So there might be a team that look for Pigott, I did mention. Third highest goal scorer in the league, so you could expect a few teams to be interested. And that then is going to bring us to the end. If you enjoyed today, of course, I say do leave a like. Want to subscribe, feel free to, and we'll love with care from it. So this time, I'll see you again soon. Thank you for listening. That's all I can really say. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.